right, so we're here with Dan Oakes, and we're talking about how social media and how cell phone use affects adolescents. And Dan, we thought we could ask you about how, specifically, how adolescents are affected by social media and cell phone when it comes to sexuality.
The compulsivity that is brought on by this instant gratification, texting 70 people, at a time. Does that manifest itself in other areas beyond just relationships? And if so, could you speak to that?
Yeah, it absolutely does. In fact, there's some great research lately about just the effects of cell phones and the internet in general. People who, for example, they'll go to bed and they will look at their cell phone for the last hour before they kind of fall asleep. And those people are experiencing a lot of sleep disturbance. They wake up 15 minutes later after they finally put the phone down, and their brain is craving more of that stimulus. And so it creates this digital invasion, creates a lot of sleep disturbance. It creates the difficulty emotionally regulating. It's difficult. We get irritable easier if there's not enough stimulation. Kids struggle now to read books because their ability to focus and pay attention, there's not any stimulus on a black and white page.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's very difficult for them to pay attention. So teachers have to adjust to be more stimulating and more proactive. And we're really losing. And all of these issues come down to this sense of desensitization. We're desensitizing our nervous system more so than just our brain, right, into needing more and more stimulus.
I get asked as a cop a lot, especially when I was working in the schools. Parents are saying, my kid is sending naked selfies, right, the nudies, and is that wrong? Is it bad? Is it normal developmentally? What's the consensus? And kids are saying everybody's doing it. I don't see what the big deal is, but certainly that has to come into play here somewhere.
Well, sure, that's kind of the social media lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right, can I get a nude pic? Can I give a nude pic? The first thing I say to, we can talk about the neurologic damage and all of that, but initially you got to know that if you send a nude image to a minor in Arizona, you've broken the law.
Right.
And all you have to have is an angry parent on the other end who wants to press charges, and they will.
Right.
Right, and so you have to be really careful. They don't care that you're a minor as well.
Right.
And so you have to be really clear.
I've dealt with that from the legal side
right.
all the time. Yeah.
Right.
That's an epidemic. When
right.
it first started back in 2004, 2005, I was shocked that I had 5 little girls a year come into my office that first year, and they were in tears because they felt they'd been betrayed after they'd sent out this nudie. And now I told that to a school resource officer a couple of years ago, and he laughed at me. He said, "I get 5 a month."
Right.
It's constant.
Absolutely. It's such a lifestyle. It's a social media lifestyle that we have to be very, very, very careful about. And that continues, outside of the sexuality, it continues to degrade the ability to have and build a relationship, because relationships build slowly.
Yeah.
And those initial highly sexual, highly objectified initiations of relationships are really counterproductive to long-term happiness.
Yeah. So again, there's this perception that sending nudies is bad is a moralistic thing, but it's really not a moralistic thing. There's clinical evidence probably that shows this is detrimental to future relationships. It's detrimental to your ability to, again, that delayed gratification. And I'm just making stuff up. I'm curious about the professionals'
Yeah, no, absolutely, that's true. I mean, think about an insecure boy or girl who thinks they won't be accepted unless they send a nude image. Then they've deduced their self-esteem to body image, and it's not just bad on the relationship; it's bad for an individual. For sure.
I know our time is